done a Zoom in a long time. Hi, everyone. I'm Kimberly Gill. I'm with Hardage, Giddens Funeral Homes, and we're hosting it at one of our locations out here at the beach. So I'm thanking you all for attending here in person and live on Zoom. So I'm very excited that everyone's here. If you were here, you'd be able to eat some fantastic, scrumptious food. And we'll get you all the information. So if you're ever looking for a caterer and you have a need, we'll get you her information, and she'll be able to take care of you. So I'm just here. I'm going to introduce our two other speakers today. We have John Miller, which some of you on Zoom already know, with Rock Solid Law. So we're very excited that he's going to be speaking first. And then we have Chris that's going to be speaking too, with Edward Jones Financial, right? Yeah, investments. And so he's going to be speaking next. And so as you have questions, I think Zoom, you can write comments and stuff, and we'll be able to answer. And of course, I'll go last as your pre-planning specialist with the funeral home. So we're going to go ahead and get started. John, take it away.
Hello, everyone. John Miller, Rock Solid Law. So good to be with you. This is our first live event in quite a while. So appreciate you guys being here with us. And those of you that are joining us online. Yeah, the food looks delicious, and you may just imagine me back there eating after my turn is finished. If you were here live, you would be looking at the back of my MacBook, and so you would know that I'm a fan of United States soccer, that I had a pre-party pass to the Rolling Stones last year. I love that band. And the other one is my family loves the Outer Banks, where we had to cancel our annual reunion this year, which is very sad for all of us. But that's where we get together with several generations of our family. And what I want to talk to you a little bit about today is generational planning and the things that you can do, just some broad brush ideas for your own families. You know, I had my son and daughter late. I was older when I met my wonderful wife. And while I intend to really enjoy what I hope is the last third of my life, what I really care about is leaving my kiddos better off so that they have a wonderful life. It's not for me to decide what you guys care about, but everybody cares about something. And what we do at Rock Solid Law in the estate planning side is to determine through a discovery meeting what you care about, and then we help to make that a reality for your future. So congratulations on taking a little bit of time to learn about estate planning, financial planning with my friend Chris, and your exit strategy planning as well. We have done several events with both of these wonderful companies. It's always our privilege. We are recording this, and it will be available on our website, and I'm confident that Chris and Kimberly will have it available too. So if there are friends that couldn't make it, please feel free to let them know. The only bad question is the one you don't ask. We are in a no judgment zone. So please ask any questions that you might have along the way. And we're kind of going to divide up third. So I'll try to leave a few minutes for questions of mine if there are. If it's too detailed and personal, feel free to write it down and we can talk about it later. Do any of you guys have an estate plan? Has anybody done their will and or trust any time in life? Okay, great, good. A few have, a few haven't. So we've got a mixed crowd today. Just real quick, Rock Solid Law has been out here at the beach since 1991. I love practicing in this community. We practice in estate planning, real estate, and I represent entrepreneurial business owners. Those are the three areas to which we limit what we do. Love being a part of the community. In fact, I am the special magistrate for Neptune Beach. So I tell people, if you live in Neptune Beach, please don't get in trouble. I don't want to see you from the bench. Have a wonderful staff. Shelly Thomas is here with me today. Shelly set this up. And without my team, I could not do anywhere near what we're able to do in the community. So what we're going to focus on is that, in my opinion, estate planning is about you. It's all about YOU, and it's first and foremost how you're treated as you age. We go through documents that take you from the day you put your plan in place all the way through the ticket to the next life. And then we turn you over. It's also about celebrating the ultimate chapters of your heroic life, one of the main things I like to focus on is your legacy. And there are others here that are concerned themselves with legacy as well. That's really important because at the time when you should most be celebrated, if we've taken care of your plan, people will tend to celebrate you and not spend that time looking at perhaps mistakes made or other things that have occurred or fighting over things. Goodness gracious, we see that too much. So it can also be about your heirs, your legacy. What I've found is we go through a discovery meeting and most people care about something bigger than themselves. Once we can kind of identify what that is, we can focus on what's the best kind of plan for a given person. It's also about deciding whether you're only going to pay the mandatory taxes or pay some voluntary ones too. We like for all of our clients to pay the taxes that are required, but we'd like for the other money to go to the who or what they love the most. It's about maximizing prosperity during life. It's about how you will share your love and your life abundance with and with whom. And we call that sharing your love with those you treasure, all at the least expense possible. So we try to talk about what your values are. We think that's one of the differentiators for us. We care more about what you care about and crafting a plan around your values than the more standard cookie cutter approach to estate planning. There are reputable law firms that intentionally put their clients through probate. This is something that we find reprehensible. I'll tell you a few stats in a few minutes, and I think you'll agree with me. There are two tax codes in the United States of America, those for the informed and those for the uninformed. We will inform you about what you can do to avoid overpaying on your death so that your family will receive that which you worked for, and our goal is to strengthen your family tree. It's a fact that 80% of estates go through probate, which just blows me away. It's really unnecessary. It's public, it's a lawsuit, it's where people fight, it's where creditors come out of the woodwork that may or may not be fraudulent. And that means 8 out of 10 people, 4 out of 5, are not properly planning to avoid probate and make things easy on their families. I ask people all the time, what's your biggest expense? Usually people say food, mortgage, something like that. But really in our country, it's taxes. There are taxes on just about everything we do, including on death. We can help avoid a lot of those. There are taxes for your estate, for capital gains, and probate I consider to be a voluntary tax that you sign up for. All things considered, the shrinkage in an estate going through probate for the second of a partnership of partners, a couple, is 30 to 60%. It happens 80% of the time. It's just a crazy number. It doesn't happen. I usually like to tell a lot of stories, but we've all agreed to keep our time short today, so I won't be a storyteller today. But I do know of one estate where it was a one asset estate and the issue could have been resolved for a few $1,000s during the decedent's lifetime, yet they took a very expensive piece of property through probate, and the probate attorney, who's not even somebody that the person who died knew, earned a fee of $105,000. And that was a legitimate fee under the statutes. Now, they don't have to charge that, but the statutes say that 3% is a reasonable fee. So if you've got a particularly valuable piece of real property, we want to make sure that doesn't go through probate after you're gone. I just had the opportunity to work with a couple in Ponte Vedra who had bought a home, which the value of which has accelerated incredibly over the time that they've lived there. They've lived there a long time. And if they had not done some planning, which we were able to put in place, thankfully, during their lifetime, we were looking at about a $65,000 3% fee if an attorney had gotten hold of that and put it through probate. So one of our goals is to keep that money where you want it, in your family tree, to charity. I don't care. It's not up to me what your value is. It's up to me to help you put yours in place. We also want to take into consideration asset protection. We are, as the attorney in the room, it's no news to anybody else that we are in a litigation-happy society. Anybody can sue anybody over anything in America, and I often tell people that. One inadvertent car wreck and not enough insurance can lead to a horrible situation for somebody unless we plan and keep those liens and judgments out of your estate while you're alive and after you're gone. So I like to say asset protection is about lawsuits, liens, judgments, and your future son-in-law. Story I like to tell from another lawyer is he had a client come in and say, "I hate my son-in-law." And he looked down at his notes and said, "But your kid's only 7. She said, "I hate him already." But there are tales legion of someone who passes and a later marriage, and then that second spouse outlives the one who had worked with the previous spouse, the widower usually, and everything going to that person's family and completely disinheriting the family of the person who had earned all the money and planned for it. Reasons it's important, another amazing statistic, is we go from rags to riches to rags again in 3 generations. It's hard to believe, but unless we put some planning in place, that money that people earn during their lifetime tends to get frittered away or taken by other people. There are a lot of people out there that are ready to take advantage of a situation. So 3 generations, I had not heard that before, and I thought that that was a remarkable statistic. So what I would challenge you for in your estate planning is to fight for yourself and fight for your family, because nobody else is going to do it if you don't. Would it be important to preserve what you've earned, to pass it to whomever you choose? There are an array of tools, devices, and methodologies to do that. I'm not going to go through all the documents today. I'll do a quick brush of what some of the things that are most common are. But it is a serious yet solvable situation which many, many people just procrastinate and never get around to. I will say it's been interesting during the pandemic. We have been tremendously busy. And I think that's a lot of people have realized that they are mortal, and that they need to quit procrastinating and get this important thing done. So, what an estate plan can do for you. A will is the first building block. A will is a really good thing to have. But the problem with a will is that every will that is not accompanied by a trust goes through probate. I've just told you how public, how expensive, and how emotionally taxing that is. You know, think about it. You want to go play golf, or you want to go to the symphony, or wherever you were heading that day. Instead, you have to go to court to deal with the estate. So I always say that probate really sucks. It sucks away wealth. Who gets the wealth? A lawyer, probably one you didn't even know. Snoops will come in and find out your dirty laundry. Fake creditors show up. They really do. They will make small enough claims that they just get paid. It's a form of fraud. And not to mention that it's public record forever. And it's where families fight. I've practiced 35 years now. And I've seen sisters that will never speak again over what to me seemed like a very, very small amount to fight over. I like to ask folks if they know how much Rosa Parks was worth when she died. I don't either. Nobody does, because she had a trust. And she determined where that estate went. And it just happens that the lawyer up in Detroit who did that trust is one of a national group that I help plan with. They're available for me, and so I have a really wonderful group. So the difference between a will and a trust is, if you have a trust, nobody knows who you gave what, because a trust is an instrument that outlives us. It's the only way we can continue to control money past the time that we're alive in this sphere of being. And it's the best way of getting what you want to who you want. There are a ton of different kinds of trusts, and I'm not going to go into it, but there's a living trust, and that's the most common one. That's the plan that avoids probate. And then there are any other of array of trusts for specific purposes like tax planning, like asset planning. Irrevocable trusts are the thing to use in those instances. During your life, there are some really important documents you should know about. There's a power of attorney, usually given to a close family member who you would trust to take care of your business when you're unable to do so. You could actually be hospitalized and expected to come back and live a full life, but during that period, they could make the mortgage payment or deal with your insurance company on your behalf. A similar power of attorney is the healthcare surrogate. This is the person that you want to deal with your doctors, nurses, and other people that are helping you in the event that you're not able to make those decisions yourself. We have just renamed the worst named document in estate planning. That's the living will. Why do I think it's the worst? Because a last will and testament and a living will are two entirely different things, and it's just confusing that they both got named after King William. I don't know why they were named a will at all. We call them directions to physicians, right? A living will, I'm from the 60s. I like to say, quote the Beatles, it's the ticket to ride. Your living will is the instructions on how you're to be treated during your last illness in the hospital, at what point you want to be allowed to cross over. So I'm going to wrap up, but I appreciate you guys making a commitment. I know it's a little hard to come out this time period and be with other people. I'm glad we have such a big, beautiful room so we can properly physically and socially distance here. It's a commitment. And thank you online. Thank you here for making the commitment to be here. In exchange for that, I always like to offer something. If you would like to have a discovery meeting with us in exchange for your attendance here, we will waive our fee for that, which is a $425 savings, and get you fully informed about what your options are. We will, I thought I had something else that went with that, but I see it printed on another page that's not here. We'll waive the fee for that if you'd like to come in and talk to us. And we will go through all the options and through the process of developing an estate plan for you. Thank you for listening. I'm sorry you couldn't be here too, Susan, but we're glad you joined online. I just got a note in the chat bar. For anybody online, if you need to ask something, the chat symbol is right down here in the middle, and it does pop up on our screen. So I'll offer that to our other presenters. I'm John Miller with Rock Solid Law. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here with you. I'll be the one in the back of the room taking advantage of Roe's beautiful food. Kimberly's going to tell you a little bit more about that and introduce my friend Chris, the next speaker. Yeah, she started walking away. I didn't know what to do next.
Hey everyone, that was again John Miller with Rock Solid Law, and just some information for those that are on Zoom. The information, if you want to call and reach out, the phone number is 904-241-1113, and you can reach out there and ask and take advantage of the promotion that they're offering to come and talk and sit down and talk about all the important things that are important to you. And if you have questions, this is a really easy email, questions@rocksolidlaw.com. So you can email John and Shelly and their whole team and get the information that you need that way. Little side note, so Savor Sensations, right here. If you were here, you'd be tasting her sensations. They are amazing. I've already dabbled in a little bit of it. If you're interested in a caterer and you need someone to make your event spectacular with food and beverages and just a beautiful display, and we'll be posting pictures of her display and the food a little bit later, you can reach her at 917-304-3835. And you can also email her at Ro, that's R-O, at savorsensations.com. So next we have Chris Hinkle, financial advisor with Edward Jones, Making Sense of Investing. And he'll be going over some great information, and hopefully you guys can take some good notes and get some more information from that. Thank you. Chris?
Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, John. Good to see some familiar faces here this afternoon, and thanks for those who are joining us on the Zoom presentation. I'll sit to the side here so you can see that just a little bit better. My name is Chris Hinkle. I'm a financial advisor with Edward Jones. My office is literally 150 yards behind me right now. I would say I walked over, but I would have melted and then got run over on Beach Boulevard, so it would not have been a pretty sight either way. I'm originally from Welcome, North Carolina. The Navy brought me here to Mayport 20 years ago, and we haven't looked back. So definitely enjoy all that we have here in Northeast Florida. One thing the Navy taught me was I enjoy working as a team. I enjoy the camaraderie. I enjoy getting to know the people that I work with and the goals that we have in mind. And when I found Edward Jones, I found that that really kind of fit well with the mission that Edward Jones has. When it comes to estate planning, there are a number of things that financial advisors can help with. Asset transfer and tax control, as we see back here on number 1 and number 5 on this list, are the two main ones that I'd like to talk about today. And I'm gonna go through a few common mistakes that I see with new clients that come over, as well just some kind of lessons learned. And it's gonna focus a lot, like John talked about earlier, on the tax side of things as well. And most importantly, what this is all about, and that's your exit strategy. Everybody in this room and on this call has an exit strategy, whether you realize it or not. Diane, I'll ask you, there's 2 guarantees in life. What are they?
They say taxes and death.
Taxes and death. That's it. She's exactly right. So we will talk about some ideas and some common mistakes there. So we get next slide. Oh, all right. There is a team approach to estate planning. Really, there's a team approach to any type of personal, financial type planning. It all revolves around you. It involves your financial advisor, your attorney, in this case, your estate attorney, and your CPA. If those 3 people aren't working with your best interests in mind, I would kind of question what plan they're working from if they're not on the same sheet of music. So common mistake number 1, and again, it revolves around the taxes, so it kind of revolves around these the financial advisor piece and the CPA piece here, is leaving money on the table from a tax standpoint. And that's, you know, every year, but it's also as we approach that exit strategy. To give you an example, well, July 15th, it's what, 6 days around the corner, that's the tax filing deadline. One of the things your CPA is going to be calculating is your adjusted gross income. Depending on what your adjusted gross income is, will determine how much taxes you pay on capital gains as well as other things and what tax breaks you are entitled to. If your CPA is not giving you a rundown of what those breaks are, we're leaving money on the table. And if your financial advisor and your CPA aren't on the same sheet of music, they're definitely leaving money on the table. So the common mistake number 1 that I see is, and I'll just ask the question this way, does your CPA know who your financial advisor is? And does your financial advisor know who your CPA is? And if they do not, then obviously you're not right there in the middle of either one of those plans. So I would float that out there as an opportunity, and a common mistake I see a lot of times, especially this time of year. Common mistake number 2, again, it revolves around taxes. Not having a tax plan for your estate strategy. Like John talked about earlier, and like Diane mentioned, you know, you can't avoid Uncle Sam. You can't avoid the IRS. You're going to pay Uncle Sam at one point or the other. So the question I pose to my clients is, how would you like to pay Uncle Sam? On your terms or on Uncle Sam's terms? And if you wait till the end, you're going to be paying Uncle Sam on his terms. And that generally is not the best way. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have 2 kids, and let's say your kids both have jobs and they're working their way up through life, and that's okay. You're 80 years old, you're 90 years old. What is your tax rate in retirement? It's probably lower than it was when you were working, when you had earned income coming in. So your earned income was probably put you in the 22% tax bracket, let's say during while you were working. But after retirement, it probably brings you down to about half that. Let's say the 12% tax bracket. Whereas your kids, they're working, they have income tax, they are still in the 22% tax bracket. Well, if you have a traditional IRA and you pass away, Uncle Sam's not going to let that money go to your inheritance without Uncle Sam's cut. And if it's distributed or sheltered in your lifetime, it will most likely be taxed at 12%. Whereas if you wait and you pass it on to your kids and they have to pay Uncle Sam the tax that's due, it's most likely going to be paid at 22%. So it's an easy way to save 10%. And in that example from Uncle Sam. There's two ways to do it. Well, there's multiple ways to do that. The two most common ways are Roth conversions or life insurance, which life insurance pays out tax-free. So those are just two common ways. Common mistake number 3 that I see with a lot of clients, especially as I bring them on, is their accounts, the administrative side of their accounts not matching their estate plan. They've done all this great work, working with a person like John, getting a trust in place, getting the wills in place. You know, they've got 3 kids, kid A, kid B, kid C, and they're each getting 33%. But then they bring their accounts to me, and their accounts their beneficiaries haven't been updated or looked at in a while, and kid A is getting 100%, and the other 2 kids are getting 0. I hate to tell you this, but kid at B and C ain't gonna like kid A when that day comes, because kid A just walked away with everything. Now, most likely kid A is going to share it, but guess whose tax burden that falls on at that point? That falls on the kid A. So we want to make sure that through regular account reviews and beneficiary reviews, and I would say at least every 5 years, that you look at the beneficiaries and make sure that they match your estate strategy. If you have a trust, you need to have the beneficiaries may need to be the trust, or at least the individual and joint accounts may need to be renamed into the trust name to go ahead and take care of the estate plans that you've already made. So that's common mistake number 3. Common mistake number 4 revolves around life insurance. Excuse me. Changing the slide here real quick. I'm not sure if you read that, but life insurance has many goals. We use life insurance to protect income, to help get kids through college should something unexpected happen, to replace a lot of things. But just like the beneficiary review, we want to make sure that we're reviewing our life insurance on a periodic basis as well. And I generally say 3 to 5 years. Let me give you a couple of examples. There's basically two types of life insurance out there. Term insurance, which, 10-year, 20-year, 30-year term, lasts a certain amount of time and then it ends. And then permanent insurance. Permanent insurance could be universal life, whole life, those type of policies. Let's say you took out a 30-year term policy in your 40s to protect, the income and to get the kids through college or to pay off the mortgage in case something were to happen to you before you reached retirement or before the kids left. Well, if you took out a 30-year policy and the kids were a couple years old, if it's year 20 of that policy, I'd be willing to bet the kids probably aren't in the house anymore. Well, maybe they are these days, I don't know. So maybe they're not still in the house, or maybe the mortgage hasn't been paid off. So you might be carrying an expense that you might not need. On the other hand, there might be a gap there. There might be a new need that hasn't shown up yet. So you want to make sure the policy matches the need. Also, who is getting healthier as they age? Anybody? I'm going to come hang out with you, Diane. Right. None of us are getting healthier the longer we live. So term policies need to be reviewed because your health may change. And what I mean by that is many term policies have a convertibility feature in them that can be converted to permanent insurance. And the last thing you want is to get halfway through a policy, you find out you have a chronic condition and you're no longer insurable. Well, you want to be doing the review on the existing policy to make sure that any policies that are there, to see if they can be converted to permanent insurance, to make sure that you don't lose that protection that you're paying for. So those are some ideas around term insurance. Now, let me talk about some opportunities for reviews when it comes to permanent insurance. Anybody in the room have a universal policy, universal life insurance policy? Okay.
I was going to ask you, what does permanent insurance mean?
Permanent would be like universal life or whole life. They're the two best examples. They could be named various things, but
You can take a term life and make it a whole life.
sometimes there is a convertibility feature in many that will allow that. It's about on page 47 of the 58-page document you get, and it's about that big. So,
So good thing to ask them.
yeah, definitely. So back to the permanent policies. Many permanent policies. Let's back up a little bit. If you bought a permanent policy prior to year 2008, you definitely want to review it, and here's why. Diane, I'm gonna pick on you on that long. Sorry. Where were interest rates in 2008?
Hi.
Higher than they are today.
Yes.
Where are they today? They're here.
Low.
Right, they're low. They're next to zero. So if you bought a policy in 2008, the assumptions that the life insurance company had was that the interest rates were going to stay about the same, and your premium was going to get a certain amount of interest, the common going interest rate going forward. Well, that assumption just went out the window with the housing crisis, and it went out the window again here in the last few months. So with those assumptions going out the window, what that does is it questions the validity and the long-term nature of that permanent policy. I put permanent in air quotes. It's supposed to be there for your duration of life, but I've seen many cases lately where somebody bought a permanent policy in their 40s or their 50s, and in their 70s, their 80s, even in their 60s, that policy is lapsing. And the last thing you want to do is get a letter from your life insurance company saying, hey, if you don't put X number of dollars into this policy over the next year, it's going to be worth zero. So here's something you paid in, you thought that wasn't going away. All of a sudden it's going away at age 75. Or in some cases, I've even seen 63, they've lapsed. And how insurable do you think you are at 63, at age 75? It's almost tough. It's impossible almost to get insurance at those ages. So the last thing we want to do is see if something you've paid into lapse on you. And I would kind of, and I say we want to do a review every 3 to 5 years. If anybody has a life insurance policy in this room still in force, can you name the person who sold it to you? Do they still?
We got our slaps, and he was the one that set me up with their
Okay, good.
AIG.
Do they still work for that company?
So he didn't work for them, he was helping us out.
Okay, good. Because most folks that I talk to, they can name the person, but the person doesn't work at that life insurance company anymore. And so the person has no vested interest to make sure that that policy is still doing what it needs to do for you. So something that's a fairly easy thing to review, doesn't cost anything to review, and dovetails perfectly into the estate strategy that John and I and your CPA want to make sure that we have in place for you. Last thing on life insurance is a tax shelter, or can be used as a tax shelter. And it can be used as a way to transfer wealth, tax-free. Also, it provides ways to protect you and your portfolio and all your assets from like that long-term care type situation, that Alzheimer's situation where you go into a long-term care, your body's fine, but your mind's not. That $9,000 a month long-term care bill at that assisted living facility will eat through a portfolio like me sweating crossing Beach Boulevard this afternoon. So just something to look into there as an option. So in review, I would give everybody 4 pieces of homework in review of the 4 questions that I just went over. 1, ask your CPA or ask whoever does your taxes who your financial advisor is, and vice versa. Ask your financial advisor who your CPA is. If they don't know the answer, if they don't know each other, they're probably not talking to each other, and therefore they might not know exactly what's going on and the best way to help service your financial plan. Number 2, ask your financial advisor how much taxes your beneficiaries will pay upon your death when they inherit your estate, whether you were to pass away tomorrow or 40 years from now. They obviously won't be able to give you an exact number for the 40 years from now scenario, but they will be able to what hopefully it will do is uncover holes, uncover opportunities of things you can start moving around in your lifetime to reduce how much we give to Uncle Sam. 3, are your estate plans reflected on your accounts? Are the beneficiaries, are the account administrative details set up to protect you and all that you've already paid for and worked for and earned, and basically how it's going to be distributed? And finally, if your life insurance policy was put in place more than 10 years ago, get it reviewed, whether it's a term or permanent. That's all I have. I'll throw it out there for any questions. We'll see if you got any on Facebook. I don't see any. Yeah. You didn't have to give me the 5-minute warning. Thank you. I'll turn it back over to Kimberly. Thank you very much.
So I learned a lot. I hope you guys learned a lot. I have life insurance. It's a term that's supposed to go to hold, so I need to call them and figure that out. So again, this is Chris Hinkle. He was talking about financial information. I thought it was very good education on that. I learned some good things. Hopefully everyone here in the room learned stuff, and on Zoom. I don't see any questions in the chat. But again, Chris Hinkle, financial advisor with Edward Jones. If you would like to reach out to him to find out more and ask questions, his business phone number is area code 904-595-5955. That's really easy. It's on his business card, yes. And then his cell phone, because he has that personal touch, just gave you permission to give it to you because it's on his business card, is area code 828-234-9180. Again, his cell is 828-234-9180. And his email address is his name, Chris.Hinkle, Hinkle, @edwardjones.com. So again, if you didn't get that information, just put it in the comment section and I'll make sure to type it in for you. So last but not least is me. I'm Kimberly Gill. I'm with Hardage, Giddens Funeral Homes. Everyone knows me around this area as your exit strategist to get you out of this world. So hope you have fun with that title. I've been with Hardage Giddens for 13 years, coming up July 17th. So it's been a long journey for me. This was not something that I wanted to be when I was a little girl, that being in the funeral industry, but being here and helping people celebrate their lives and leaving that lasting legacy is what I truly enjoy and the connections that I make. The reason why we put this program together is that these two other companies, us three as a group, have the same passion and drive of serving families and serving the community and making it easier and making it a better place for our families to leave that legacy and enjoy life to the fullest and be remembered well when the time comes that they pass away. So with that, this is why we put Leaving a Lasting Legacy seminar together. So thank you for everyone that attended on Zoom and that has made it here today. So Hardage Giddens, I'm a planning specialist. What my profession is that I sit down with families to help avoid what's going to be the hardest day of their lives, to putting plans and everything in place. So I'm going to have Chris, my assistant, is going to go through, and you can go ahead and just hit all of them. Like just go ahead and bam, 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 bam. Oh, it's backwards. So yeah, so I'm going to turn look a little bit. We can put the lights down. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I'm going to be talking about everything on here. It's just, I like to give a history about who our company is, the things we do for our community to make us a little bit different than other funeral homes around town, and the caring and compassion we have for our city and the families that we serve. So Hardage Giddens has been around for 92 years. A lot of people probably didn't know that. But we have been around from Orange Park into the west side to north side out here at the beaches for that long of a time. We are the largest chain of funeral homes nationwide. We have over 2,200 all over the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico. And with that, we have a lot of benefits and programs that we offer our families that no one else can, and thus adding to our value and the quality of care that we provide our families. So we're very proud of that. The next thing that we have on there is that we have partnerships with the military and our first responders, and I'm going to go into a little bit that more. And we're voted the top 50 companies to work for. So what that means is that we have about well over 33,000 employees that are working with us. And we send a survey out every year about the quality and work environment. And they said, we're pretty awesome. And I wouldn't work with a company that wasn't awesome and wasn't reliable and trustworthy to work with our families. And the 100% service guarantee, and we'll go into a little bit more in that in just a moment. You can go boom, 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 boom. I'll just go ahead and do all of it. There's one more. Cool. So about the community and what we do is that we have programs called the Public Servants Program, where we work with firefighters, police officers, and EMT, those on the first line. And what we do for them, if something were to happen to them in the line of duty, which we've been seeing a lot lately, we take care of their funeral expenses 100%. So we take care of the funeral, we take care of bringing them into our care, the body preparation, the casket, the cemetery property, the headstone, the vault, you name it, we take care of it. Unfortunately, at that time too, the family does have to come in to make those decisions, but they don't have to worry about a bill or expense. We take care of it all. Same thing with our firefighters and our EMTs. These men and women wake up every morning not knowing if they're ever coming home. And we just hope we give a little bit back to those families that are dealing with those tragedies at that time when they're killed in the line of duty. The other thing that we offer is our homeless veterans program. So there are many homeless people out there that are veterans. Some are inclusive and this is what they want. And others have just hit really hard times. And most of those are Vietnam veterans. And so what happens in any community, any city across the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico, if we find a homeless person that has passed away, the police contact our funeral homes to let us know that they're a veteran, and we give full military honors and get them to the closest national cemetery free of charge. That is a nice casket, that is full services, full honors, and we also go above and beyond and reach out to other service members, people in the community that will show and pay respect and honor to those military men and women that are homeless, and we will take care of them with full honors. Other things that we do a lot of community outreach, and so we do veterans burial benefits. There is a lot of confusion with our veterans out there that they are not sure exactly what they get, and more so what they don't get, unfortunately. Everyone in our circle of influence that are one of my teams on my counselors, we are certified in veterans benefits. So we go around and do community outreach and events to educate you guys on what it is that you get and what you do not get. And we're over about 1,400 veterans that pass away daily that come through our funeral home. Thus the reason the partnership of our funeral home with the military, since we are the largest chain of funeral homes nationwide, just makes sense that the partnership is together. We also do what we call Your Life, Your Legacies, which is kind of like what we're doing here, but more in depth and involved about what it is to leave a lasting legacy, which you heard John talk about. We talk about living wills. We talk what has been changed or honoring choices. We talk about financials. We talk about everything, and we help put everything in a guide for you to keep everything nice and together, so it makes it easier for your family at that time of passing. You're not going to be able to really see these. That's fine, but I think that's it. We have what we call the dignity differences, and I'm just going to run through some of these. Because our company is so large, there's a lot of things that we can offer which go hand in hand with why we're with Rock Solid Law and with Chris about their vision, what they have for the families. We just don't want a client, right? You guys are family. Once you come into our care, once you become one of our clients, once you do your pre-arrangements, you're family now. You're not just a client, you're family. And with that, we want to make sure that we protect you from beginning to end in all aspects and walk in life. So our dignity differences that we have is our 100% service guarantee. You might laugh at that, but how many have experienced the lack of service guarantee, right? We've all experienced it, and it's not fun when you're feeling disrespected or you feel like you've been swindled or you just weren't getting the attention you thought that you needed. So our company is all about 100% service guarantee because we have one chance and one chance only to do it right. And so when that time comes, I'm just going to share a little story. Here at this location, a couple of years ago, we had a young mom. Her daughter passed away at the age 16. And when she passed away, it was very difficult for her to make some decisions, but the hardest decision was flowers. And you might think, flowers, why would that be such an issue? But she was really debating whether pink flowers or yellow flowers. I think they were from Texas, so I think the yellow Rose, I think, is their state flower. So, and they had just moved here. They didn't know a lot of people. So at the end of the conversation, she chose pink flowers. She picked pink roses because that was her daughter's favorite color. The day of the visitation service, we had pink roses everywhere, on the casket, on the stands, on the dining tables. Everything was pink. And when she came in, she was like, where are the yellow roses? Guys, when you come in on the hardest day of your life, planning a service for something that was unexpected, you do not remember half the things that are discussed. And that was not the time where our funeral director brought out a contract and said, I'm sorry, ma'am, it was pink, not yellow. No, we didn't do that. We own and operate our own floors, so guess what we did? We got on the phones immediately. We're able to call our florist. They came and changed out everything to the yellow roses. We did not charge the family. In fact, we refunded all their flowers back. That is customer service. We weren't wrong, but we sure as heck weren't going to tell her that she was wrong, you know, so, and those different types of areas. So that's just a little bit of the customer service. The other thing is that we have served every standing president since Eisenhower. Now, that's not just tooting our own horn about all this, you know, like, oh, we're so great. It's just the standards and services that we provide our families. Same as John Miller with Rock Solid Law, and same with Chris. Our standards and quality are so high. That's why we charge the things that we charge and the quality of services that we provide. And you might look at some of our bills and be like, whoa, that's crazy. But let me tell you, at the end of the day, the quality and value and the service that you're going to get is par none. I just want to put that out there. The next thing is that we have things that help with bereavement. We have the Compassion Helpline, we have bereavement travel, and we have a guidance series. All those things are to help you and your family get through this process. And it might take months, it might take years, it might only take days, but we're here through all of it. The bereavement program I really, really like because a lot of people are not from here. How many people are born and raised in Jacksonville? Me. Okay, there's 2 people in the room. And I don't know about you on Zoom. I didn't see your hand raised. So what's happening is that we are a transplant city. Chris came here from somewhere else because the military brought him here. And we have a lot of transplant people for work, for military. They just want to get out of the snow and they want to come to beautiful Florida where it's never humid, it never rains, your hair is perfect every day. It doesn't happen that way. So what happens is you have a lot of family that's coming in for a service. And the last thing they're going to do is try to make travel arrangements, airline, hotel, car rentals, all those different things. Let our company do it for you. We have partnered with a bereavement program, which you're going to get the compassion you're going to need on the phone. And they already know who your loved one is that passed away. They know the dates, and so they can arrange everything based on your schedule. Isn't that great? You don't have to worry about going to kayak. That's a plug, I guess. I don't know. Southwest, whatever it is, to make arrangements. And, you know, if you have in-laws coming in that you don't really like, the hotel, we can hook you up with a hotel and all that kind of stuff so you don't have to stay at your house. So the other thing is our child-grandchild protection, which is probably our best dignity differences. We hope you never have to use it. But if you have any children or grandchildren under the age of 21 and not married, and something happened to them, meaning they passed away, our funeral home will take care of them free of charge up to the amount of your pre-plan. So if you do a pre-plan policy and it's a funeral and you paid $11,000 for it, your children or grandchildren under the age of 21 will get $11,000 funeral service or cremation service free of charge. We don't want you to ever use it. They do not have to live in the city and state that you live in. You don't even have to be alive. It's just a plan, something that you have with us that we take care of family, okay? The other thing that we talk about is national transferability and transportation relocation. You guys aren't from here, and you might not want to be buried here. National transferability will get you back to where you want to go. And our travel and relocation, how many people travel? I mean, right now it's kind of iffy, but when you did and when you will again, what if something happens to you in a different state, in a different country? Story time. Story time. We had a family, not here, it was down in Fort Lauderdale. A mother went down to Brazil to go to see her son, to go see her ex-husband, and she was going to move down there. And while she was down there, she passed away. Still under investigation. $45,000 later, after police fees, all that kind of stuff, MEs, medical officers, bringing her back home, the family had to fork that out. If you get the travel and relocation with our company, family would not have paid a dime of that. I don't know about the police department stuff, but all the stuff to get you back home will take care of all of that, okay? Talk to me more about that, and I'll give you all the information. And you could already have your plans in place. but you don't have the travel, we can do the travel for you and make sure you get to that funeral home that you've already purchased your plans with and gain that peace of mind, okay? Last but not least, the personal planning guide. Ta-da! This right here is the best thing that our company has ever come out with. So in this personal planning guide, it talks about your vital statistics, everything the funeral home is going to need to know about you to have a death certificate. You can't close out anything, life insurance, anything without a death certificate, okay? But this personal planning guide has a lot of good stuff on it. You guys are married? I'm picking on people here in the room. What is y'all's names?
Eileen Erickson.
Lee Erickson.
Eileen and Lee Erickson. I'm going to mess with them right now, okay? So you can mess with your spouses if you're watching this and married. One of the big pages in our personal planning guide talks about you, okay, and your death certificate. So how long have you guys been married? 53 years. Okay. Oh, 54 years. Give it a round of applause, everyone watching. And he said, "You're right, dear." Good answer. Okay, so let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you, Lee, first. Where was your wife born? City and state. Philadelphia. Okay. What's her date of birth?
August 24th.
Always have to ask that. Okay. Social Security. Don't answer it out loud. Just whisper it into her ear. Okay. Where was he born?
Being on
Y'all have no idea what's going on right now. She just said her brother-in-law's information. Born in New York. Okay. And he's probably wrong now, so I don't even know. So, okay, so what's going on is that we ask families this, and you might know it like this, no problem. Social Security, date of birth, city and state. And this is my favorite one. Lee, what's her mother's maiden name?
Buckley.
And okay, how do you spell it?
B-U-C-K-L-E-Y.
Did he spell that right? Very good. Now, what's his mother's maiden name? Okay, so there you go. So there are some major questions that need to be asked, and if you don't know this information, it delays your death certificates and it delays everything else. You want to close out assets? You're not closing out your assets. You want to close out your life insurance? You're not closing out your life insurance. You're trying to close out a house, get a title to a car. You're not getting anything in a timely manner if you do not know these questions. That's why we have it in our personal planning guide with all that information here.
That would be on birth anyway.
That's your cheating, but that's all right. No, she said birth certificate and that's cheating. So, but the other information in here is all about your financials, your banking accounts, your life insurance, all those different things, your credit cards, all the things that need to be closed out at the time of your passing, which go hand in hand with a trust. Please get a trust, not just a will. It makes things so much easier. We have helped so many families, guide them in that process or send them to John and be like, that's not my profession. And we send it to him. And then life insurance policies, all those different things. And here's something I want to add to life insurance policies. There's families that come in that think they're good to go on their life insurance, or mom's been paying on it, so they thought. But she hadn't, and it's lapsed. Now this small little $5,000 or $10,000 policy she had is non-existent, and now the family's struggling to figure out where they're going to get their money. Another thing you guys should know, if your policy is not in place for 2 years, it has to be in place. Well, certain insurances. Let me rephrase that. Certain insurances need to be in place for at least 2 years for 2-year contestability as well for it to be able to be used at the time of need. Life insurance, let me just put it out there. Life insurance was never meant for death. Hence the word life insurance. Life insurance is made for the living. So they can live the life that they're accustomed to living, or a slush fund for their kids for college or grandkids and things of that nature. It was never meant for this. If you have life insurance, great. I do too, but I also have my plans because it freezes the cost. We're going to move forward. I've got 3 minutes and counting. So it's a simple conversation, ha ha ha. When you're talking about funerals and exit strategy, most people think about this, time's a ticking and I'm passing away. But when you're with our company, we sit down and put a whole plan together. It's about celebrating your life. Go ahead and move forward. And that's what we're coined. I don't know if you guys have seen any of our commercials or anything, but it's all about celebrating life. We have lots of cemetery options, cremation options, burial options. We're just going to move through this. We're going to move through that. It's all good. I don't have to worry about that. And let's see what else. Oh, so here we're going to talk about the financial and emotional benefits. Financially, it locks in today's prices. How many of you could lock in gas when you started paying for gas and had an unlimited card that you could pay? My gas was like 98 cents when I was in college. I was the queen of the $5 fill up. I wish I could save a card for 98 cents and now paying instead of $4 or $3, whatever it is. So the financial same thing happens with the funeral industry. If you bought your plans back in 1980, a full funeral service cost you $2,400. It is now about $15,000 today. Don't listen to the commercials you see on TV. You customize your terms. You can serve your insurance, and it protects against inflation. And emotionally, your family knows what you want. They're not there guessing. This is the time that they should be mourning you and remembering you and not being forced to have a business transaction at the time of your passing. And of course, it relieves the burden. Here we go. I think I'm down to a minute and a half. Hurry, Chris, hurry. Move it forward. Shell's going to cut me off. So we're not going to go too much into this, but really the nuts and bolts of it, when you talk about pre-planning, it's about you. Just like when you're meeting with John Miller, it's about you and your legacy. When you're meeting with Chris, it's about your legacy. What are you going to leave behind? How do you want to live in the present, but also make sure you have peace of mind about the future? So when you meet with me, we talk about 4 easy steps. We just sit down and reflect what it is that you want. We talk about the different plans, and we record it in the personal planning guide. You support it, which you fund it. We need money to fund it. And then, of course, you share all your information, okay? So when you're talking about pre-planning, it's not one stop, and it's a lot of information that we give you. We do free consultations, and because you came on the Zoom conference and you came here, we're also offering additional savings. So with that said, I'm closing up. If you have additional questions, please type them in the comment section, and we'll do that. We also talk about veterans burial benefits. We have a whole guide that goes over all of that. You don't have to worry about anything else. But my contact information is Kimberly.Gill. That's K-I-M. Excuse me. Okay, KIMBERLY.Gill with 2 L's. So that's Gill at digitymemorial.com. That's DIGNITYMEMORIAL.com. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. And then you can also call me on my cell phone at 904-307-1642. If you got the invitation, all my information's on there, same with Shelly's information. So please reach out to us. And it was a pleasure having you guys with us today. And again, I just want to promote Ro. This is her information. Savory Sensations. And it's yummy food. I wish you guys could be here to have it. With that said, I don't know, you want to close out the Zoom? People are leaving. Bye.